Hey, AfterBuzzers! On this episode of the MasterChef After Show, we're breaking down another double dose of MasterChef goodness. We'll be talking about tag team and pop-up restaurant. Oh, Nathan! Let's do this.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yeah, look at that. Welcome, everybody, to the MasterChef After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Breaking it down here. Yes, it was getting a little hot in the MasterChef kitchen this episode.
It really was.
Oh, yeah. And nobody felt it more than Nathan, which we will get to that in just a Oh, boy. Yeah, that's he's quite a guy. We're breaking down 2 episodes. As I said, another double dose of MasterChef goodness, tag team and pop-up restaurant. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. To my left, we've got the lovely lady who's been gone for a couple weeks, is back looking fantastic.
Well, thank you, Frank. You shouldn't. You're so sweet. Hey, everybody, it's Rhavin with the V here, and you can find me at bstaysbusy, B-I-Z-Z-Y.
Now, the third person of our panel, the lovely and talented Maria Provenzano, usually is sitting right here alongside with us, but today she is actually coming to us via Skype. Look at that. We can't keep her away.
We had to bring her in virtually.
Maria Provenzano.
Hi guys, I'm Maria Provenzano. You can find me at Maria Provenzano on Twitter, and all of my information will be there. And I'm sorry I am not in studio.
That's all right. Brianna here at AfterBuzz, she did provide us some with zucchini banana bread. So.
I forgot to get a piece.
Oh, zucchini and banana. Interesting.
Yes.
It looked good the way Frank was swallowing.
I was just jamming it in my face hole. That was great.
Your face hole.
Yes.
Oh, Frank.
So yeah, let's break down these 2 episodes. We've got I'm so excited that Maria had the opportunity to join us, even just via Skype, because watching these 2 episodes, man, I had so many questions, especially about the pressure test.
She loves her pastries.
Oh yes.
We had to have you for the pastry.
So we start off with tag team, and we've got Nathan already. He's bragging about how he's the best dressed. Okay, that's. Oh, man, what a self-appointed title.
Well, there may be some people that would agree with him.
No, nobody's smart.
Oh, my gosh.
Now he's
Frank, you are so bad.
I'm sorry. That particular bow tie and jacket combo did not look good on him tonight.
It did make his face look a little pinker normally than normal.
Yeah. See?
But I like pink.
It felt almost like that suit jacket was just a little too big. He felt like a little boyish in that. You know?
I think I'm used to it now.
All right.
I feel like if he's not in one, I'm going to be like, what the heck
Well,
happened?
yeah. I mean, it's part of his character. He's proud of it. Sorry. I know you can see I've been moving my camera up and down trying to adjust it. Sorry, guys.
You look great.
Perfectly fine.
You look great. Now, the one thing that was driving me crazy about Nathan is that he's bragging about his placement there in the top 7 when really it's just by luck. It hasn't certainly been by, I think, like skill that he's proved himself in the top 7. It's just been by fortune and circumstance that he's gotten to the top 7.
Well, people kept him there because they knew he was a weak link, and so they were trying to get out. They were playing the game, trying to get out the people who are good.
They're like, if I make it to the end and it's me and him, it's a dead win for them. Like, that's how they're looking at it. But let's be real, if Andrea was there.
That's true. Or Terry.
Or Terry. Care Bear.
Yeah. So we find out the mystery box challenge is they're going to be only having 3 things to use to cook with: a cast iron skillet, wooden spoon, and a paring knife. Maria, do you subscribe to their belief that it's like you don't need to have a lot of fancy stuff? You can have just a few simple things in the kitchen, and you can make incredible dishes.
Yeah, you can have a few simple things, but they have to be good quality simple things. Like your knife needs to be a good knife. Your cast iron skillet needs to be one that can go in the oven. Those kinds of things,
Now, because Brandy brags during the course of this competition that she's got a bunch of cast iron skillets passed down from her family. She has one that's like 100 years old. That's got to be an amazing skill to have, right, Maria?
Well, cast iron lasts forever, obviously, because it's 100 years old. But, I mean, we've talked about cast iron. I think it was on Hell's Kitchen we talked about cast iron. But
the older it is, the more flavor or something like that.
Yeah, they're super sturdy. I mean, they add iron into your food, literally. And you don't wash it with soap and water. You just, wipe it clean. You can use some salt to, scrub any gunk off. But, it's just, layers of flavor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just curious. Like, if you have a cast iron skillet that is 100 years old, and you just have a cast iron skillet maybe a couple years old, you cook 2 steak dishes and 1 in each? Could you tell one is cooked?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, they would be different.
One would be like
One's
fine
more
wine.
seasoned than the other, so yeah.
Just it would be like just a richer flavor, or I mean, I guess I'm just trying
I
to
think
figure.
it's the flavor.
It's sort of the je ne sais quoi of what it is. Like, why is this so good?
The
Why is
body
this
of
so
the
much
flavor,
better? But like
too.
when it's like, you know, when you have a pair of shoes and you wear them in and they fit you better and you like are comfortable in them. That's like a cast iron skillet. When you break
It's
it
the
in.
breakthrough.
All right, you just feel more comfortable eating that dish because it's been cooked in that cast iron skillet.
Yeah,
All right.
that's like new wine versus old wine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm completely lost. Anyway. So we find out though that since those are the only 3 pieces of equipment, they cut down all. They do not allow them access to any other equipment in the MasterChef kitchen.
Cleared
Nothing
out
in their
the
drawers. Yeah.
everything.
But the pantry's open. So as Gordon says, they're only limited by the available equipment and their imagination. And Gordon puts his money where his mouth
I think
is.
that was fair.
He does the mystery box challenge too. That's always cool to see him in action.
I know.
I love seeing him in the
He's
kitchen.
a freaking magician.
Exactly.
So
Amazing.
quick sidebar, on Wednesday he did a Facebook Live, or excuse me, Tuesday he did a Facebook Live where he did a mystery box challenge where he cooked in a cast iron skillet, kind of inspired by what the mystery box challenge is going to be in this week's episode. And he just did a whole Facebook Live on it. He made this like chicken casserole pot pie, so to speak. Did you watch it, Maria?
Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched pretty much the whole thing. It only took about 20 minutes or so because he already he had basically he made the whole thing and then he had something in the oven that he pulled out that was already made. So he
I
didn't
was
have to.
going to say, 20 minutes seems like
Yeah.
we would have to bake longer.
So he was able to cut out the baking time for that because it would have taken about, he said about 20 minutes to bake, so he cut that out just and had something already pre-baked.
Okay.
But still impressive to see him cooking live and doing everything like that.
Every time that man moves, it's just very magical. Maria, stop laughing at me. I put on the sexy voice. I'm like, he cooks so sexy.
And I guess you do see the difference between the home cooks and Gordon because when they do say go, the home cooks are running for the pantry. Gordon's just, casually walking in.
Whistling in his head. Doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, but I always say, in all fairness, whenever there's a chef that has stepped in and done the challenge with them, they've already practiced. Not that, I mean, Gordon Ramsay could probably not have practiced and still done amazing, but
Right.
yeah, he knows what he's doing going in.
So they're all cooking, and as they get to the end of it, the one thing I wanted to ask you, Maria, this is the first thing, as I wrote it in all caps because I wanted to make sure I asked Maria this. I was like, all right, I wrote it in all caps. He does something at the end. I think he's over the tartane.
Tartatine.
Tartatine.
What she said.
Guys, I'm a cook. You can tell. He has this. He has something like watered up in a napkin. Some is it flour or sugar? And he's kind of tapping it with his finger over it to kind of
probably
dust it.
sugar. I think it was sugar.
Was it just like in a cheesecloth or something like that? I was
Oh,
trying to figure
yeah,
out.
cheesecloth.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because he had no tools. I mean,
Yes.
apparently, if that's what he had around, I don't know why he had a cheesecloth, because, I think that would be considered a tool, but you would
Technically.
normally do like a strainer.
Gotcha.
Kind of like a very thin, not with the smaller holes, strainer.
Yeah,
So.
it was cool. It was I thought it was a really smart way to get around the idea of how do you kind of like sift like powdered sugar or something on something at the
Right,
end.
well, and that was the technique, or the whole theory kind of going into this is what, like, things can I use in this pantry to substitute the tools that I'm missing. So you could see they were using vegetables and wine bottles as like rollers for pastry and things like that, which was resourceful.
Yeah. So we get down to the end. Of course, as they finish all the cooking, the judges get a good chance to, one, praise Gordon for the great cooking that he did.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So he cooked a great steak, and then he cooked, the tartatine.
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 Rolled right off my tongue. But they go out and they pick out the 3 best to try out. So were you surprised by who they picked to taste?
No.
I don't
What about you guys?
I don't think I was either.
I wasn't the one because I knew they kind of like Brandy had talked about having this long line of family skillets, but I wasn't quite sure because they're really playing up the whole David-Sean rivalry. So I wasn't sure if they're going to use both of them and Tenoria. It seemed like they're really playing up Tenoria in this episode too. So
That's true.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I thought for sure Tenoria, and then I wasn't sure about which of the other 3, whether Brandy, David, or Sean, was going to not get chosen for this. And we find out that it's Sean. He's the odd man out. And I always find it interesting when David gets picked for something over Sean because they never go to like any David's bites, like his introspective bites as he's walking up to the front. It's always Sean's like thoughts about David getting picked. Like, I'm just using this to fuel my fire. That's it.
Oh my God.
But then every once in a while you hear David rooting for Sean when he's, in the balcony or
Yeah.
kind of like, way to go. But you can tell they really cannot stand each other as far as
It
competition.
doesn't seem like it.
Not at all.
What are the odds that show's over, they're both back in Vegas, they ever get together?
I think it's.
I don't think it's sort of like they'll run into each other and be like, whoops, didn't mean to. But
I don't know. I feel like once this is all over and the pressure is all over, I feel like they could easily meet up for drinks.
maybe.
And just talk about it. I don't think they'll be BFFs. I don't think they'll be bros. Definitely won't be a bromance or anything like that. But for drinks, say, we made it. We did time together. We
did
survived. We conquered.
We did time together.
That's how this show felt.
So we find out that Brandy wins, which is cool. The way, and I felt like Tenoria had a chance, but then when they were really hitting it so heavily on her, and they edited it like, "This is my challenge to lose."
That's her
I've got
wheelhouse.
this. Yeah.
Apparently.
All right, they were hitting it too hard that Tenoria was overconfident in her chances of winning this thing. Brandy wins it though, and we find out that she doesn't have to cook in the elimination challenge. She's safe to go, and the challenge is for the
that picnic platter, guys. What did you guys think about that platter? Because when I looked at it, I was just like, I don't want that.
You don't want no?
No, I'll take the champagne. Yes, I'll take the lobster roll. Yes, I'll even take the strawberries and the chips. But what the heck is egg scotch?
Scotch eggs in there?
Or Scotch eggs. I don't want that.
It seemed like a really eclectic, like I've never seen a picnic platter like that varied. Yeah, Maria?
No one's going to bring Scotch eggs to a picnic. They're too time sensitive.
Thank you. They're too time sensitive.
Yeah, because the middle of it needs to be soft. So if you're like, well, we're going to go to picnic, like 2 hours later, when you like finally get there, your egg's going to be gross and you're going to get food poisoning. Like,
true. The only thing that seemed appropriate for a picnic was the sliders.
Yeah, but then even then, if you were waiting for a while, they'd get cold too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that
you could keep them, but then the buns get soggy. Like, it's not.
Well, then none of that, actually.
The only thing, like the heart-shaped cookies, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the strawberry, like, tuxedos, which, like, okay. But yeah, so we find...
That was a real eclectic picnic.
I did like Dan's, though, because his idea of a picnic platter involves booze and maybe some cheese.
And maybe some cheese, okay?
Well,
not
that
even
was
bread.
a tough challenge, though, too. That's a lot of dishes.
Yeah.
It was, and we found out that it's too much for one person to make. So what they're going to do is they're going to do teams, and they're going to do a MasterChef Classic. It's going to be tag teams. And Brandy gets to decide who the teams are.
I think this was one of the ultimate advantages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have gotten that advantage if I could choose any of them
and
so far.
I thought she chose smartly with the teams.
She did.
Oof.
She did it so smart.
Yeah.
Especially with Nathan and Sean.
Yes, so she picks Sean and Nathan, David and Katie, and Tenoria and Dan. Now, with David and Katie, I did like that because Brandy said the reason that she chose David is like she doesn't think he can lead. And, of course, we cut to David saying, "Oh, I can lead, but can Katie listen?" Like,
oh, my God.
Whatever, David. Come on.
He's on my shit list.
I'm rocking. I'm teeter-totting back and forth with him from these last episodes.
After this episode, boy, bye.
Maria's not here for him.
Now, the challenge starts, and ladies, let's just take some time now to talk about my favorite part of this whole episode.
Oh, my God.
Is just the descent of Nathan.
I mean, let's be honest. We all knew that he was going to, panic. We all knew that he would panic. But to the extent in which he panicked, I was surprised.
It was so bad.
It was to the point where he couldn't even get the screaming out. I think he was internalizing it so much that it was just internally freaking his entire body out.
I mean, to have repeated pep talks by Gordon Ramsay, to sit down in a chair to
brought
drink
him a
water.
Chair, he got him water. He picked him up, sat him back there.
And he literally, the way he acted was how my toddler acts. Like, he was flailing his body and grunting and screaming. I'm like, you're 3. You're a 3-year-old. You're not okay.
You could see all the flap sweat. I mean, he was just getting so hot and so
eyes
sweaty.
Were super glazed over at one point. And
a part of me felt really bad for him because it's you should be able to manage your I mean, I can see getting frustrated and David did throwing the champagne thing at the end, but this is you're fighting through it, and he's just, he could not manage his emotions.
And you would think there's usually when they have scenes like this that somebody is kind of spiraling out of control. Gordon comes, gives them a little pep talk, and they kind of get it together enough to at least finish a challenge. Not so with Nathan. I mean, he got that
He
pep
was
talk.
gone. He was so gone.
He fell down.
I don't know if you guys have heard about that so gone challenge.
Did he fall or did he faint? I was confused.
I guess he kind of fainted, fell. I mean, he was up pretty quickly.
It was a combination of two, but then the moment Chef Ramsay grabbed him, he's like, I'm okay. Like, I don't know if he was embarrassed or what, but I think he didn't realize that he fainted.
That scared me for for his well-being. I'm just like, if you can't handle this, this is not the right career choice for you
at all.
And just
do potlucks for parties and stuff. Don't make it super, super serious.
He would get stressed out about that.
Yeah, probably.
I really think he would.
For just one dish, can you just be responsible for one dish?
Ugh. And I think like if you know you're spiraling out that way, that the only way you can be saved is everything you cook has got to be awesome. Because if nothing is, even if there's a couple and one thing that's kind of bad, that's a perfect opportunity for them to say, "Well, see you later, Nathan."
Right. Yeah.
And sadly, a lot of things were wrong with Nathan and Sean's plate.
I know, bless his heart, but he's a decent cook.
As Maria said at the end of it, David throws down the champagne bottle,
and it still didn't open. I just knew when he threw it down, it was gonna pop open finally.
Oh yeah. What do you think about Christine giving a little as she says, real talk right there as they bring up the plate?
That was the one moment in a lot of episodes that I was actually like, okay, thank you for being real, because I feel like she's so putting on a show. But when she said that, I was like, thank God, you know, someone needed to.
I agree.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I'm steady staring at her. I don't know. The point of where I'm staring at her when she talks is her mouth all the time, but I'm constantly waiting for her to just say something real, and I was just kind of like, okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
When we get to the second episode and we talk about the pastry challenge, I'll talk about my feelings about her in a second, because it gets a little bonkers with that. But
it's just too much.
But we find out we've got Dan and Tenoria. I mean, they rock it up pretty well.
Their little communication.
Yeah.
And I like the part where Dan is like, all right, you're communicating well, but stop yelling at me. It's freaking me out. Like, that was really nice.
Yes.
A nice way to put it. Instead of like, stop yelling at me, like he was Nathan or something. You know, he can handle it.
He has some maturing to do too.
Of course. But he's definitely not the 3-year-old.
No, that's true.
He's like 12, you know, preteenish or 13.
Yeah.
Teen.
Yeah.
It's not as bad, but.
So, despite all the drama with David at the end, they do a pretty good job. Dan and Tenoria, they do okay. And then it just gets on to Sean and Nathan, and they have no Scotch eggs, raw lobster in the lobster roll. The sliders are raw. It's terrible. I mean, pretty much you know right from there that one of them is going to be going home. And, I mean, honestly, there's really no suspense. I mean, people they're cutting it and trying to think like, oh, maybe Sean's going home. Even Sean's like, maybe I'm going home. Like, no, you're not.
Let's be real. Let's just be honest.
I mean, the fact that anything got to the plate,
Sean.
that was because of Sean. And so, goodbye, Nathan. Goodbye. Maria, I know you're here. Well, Maria, take a moment to reflect on your time and your love for Nathan in the MasterChef competition.
I feel like I have a little bit of a soft spot for him. I don't know. Part of me feels a little bit bad for him, but he did make it this far. But do I think he deserved to be there? No, not this at this point.
Even more reason to salute him because he made it this far.
You know, and that kind of basically just showed me kind of the frustrations with a challenge like this, because when they at the beginning when they start cooking here, they say, you know, this is our top 7 chefs in America. It's like, well, it's not really, because you eliminated Andrea, you eliminated Terry. I mean,
Let's
you've
be
eliminated,
honest.
It's not, and you know that's part of the competition aspect, I guess. But yeah.
I feel like it's weird to be constantly using the descriptive the best with them, because it's not. Some of them just got
it's just
through
the
the
best
skin of
out
their
of
teeth.
what you have for now under the circumstances in which you're doing a reality television show.
I just feel like it's 7 home cooks of varied skill. I feel that's
varied skill.
Yes.
I like that.
But you know what? I will say, like, looking at what they have made, you know, in both of these episodes from last night, I mean, it's pretty intense. This what they did in these past 2 episodes, and I think it's to be able to do that is really, really hard.
I mean, that picnic one just seemed like a tremendous amount of food to get done in that amount of time, even with 2 people kind of tag teaming it.
Right.
Right.
I don't know how that would have actually happened. I mean, Obviously, they give him a little less time so that it can be a competition and it can be a challenge. But I would have wondered how many people or how many teams would have actually succeeded in that challenge better if they had more time. Just a little more. Just like maybe 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Or 7.
And I should mention that our guest chef for these 2 episodes was Kevin Spraga, who was also there last week, too.
I like him.
Really? I'm not a huge fan.
Why?
He's kind of a dud. And I'll tell you one reason that really bugs me about this guy.
Tell me.
Is his questions, like at the end where he's talking to everybody's picnic platters, their results. Like with Dan and Tenoria, he's questioning them. Like, what happened here? What happened here? As he's asking them about, like, the tuxedoed strawberries and stuff. Like, we saw you commenting on what they were doing throughout the entire challenge. You watched them do everything. Please stop asking dumb questions. What happened here? You know what happened here, Kevin. You saw it all happen. Don't be a dum-dum. Come on now.
Well, he's cute.
What? He's not cute. Come on.
He's kind of handsome.
Really? Yeah. I don't know. He's kind of he's a dud.
Maria.
I got nothing. He doesn't really do one way or the other for me. So.
I feel like that's falling on my side of things. All right, so it's 2 against 2 against 1.
Well,
Sorry,
I feel like,
Rhavin.
No, Maria is not on your side. That doesn't mean that.
I mean, he's not ugly.
He has to bring something to the table that isn't already brought by Christina and Chef Ramsay.
Yeah.
So
and I don't know if he did. I mean, that was the thing.
Probably
Like,
didn't,
I
but
wasn't.
to
I like
just
Moran
ask
Sanchez. Like, I think he brings something really cool and interesting.
If somebody's looking to bring a wet blanket to a party, then yes.
You are outrageous.
You're so bad.
He's in hateration mode tonight, honey.
Yes.
Nathan
that is the best way to describe Frank's attitude tonight.
I'm in hateration mode.
Because you're not here in studio.
That's right. Yeah. That's what you get, Maria.
Who's being a dud now, huh?
Hateration nation.
Oh my god.
I like that when he got to cook with them, though. Chef Sprague.
Last week?
Sprague.
Yeah. No.
All right, I'm done with him. I'm done with Sprague.
So because of the David and Katie, they win.
Call him Sprague. Sorry, I was like, it's not his last name.
They get to be captains for the next team challenge, and that leads us into our next episode, Pop-Up Restaurant. So they go over to the Park Plaza Hotel. It's kind of been deserted, built up in 1925 in Los Angeles, deserted right now. But they decide to kind of restore some of the luster to the Park Plaza for one night and do a 1920s themed party for that evening. And of course, who's going to cook it?
They are.
Yes.
This really took me back to Hell's Kitchen.
They were so disappointed. Like, they actually were like all dressed up and really wanted to like go do something fun.
That was really fun.
They've been sequestered.
Right. Sequestered.
Boom.
Shout out to Lim Gonsalves.
All day, every day. Follow me at the Poet Saint.
For those of you who don't know what we're referring to.
That's right. Get ready for Hell's Kitchen.
Yes.
Which this episode felt a little bit like Hell's Kitchen.
It did, because he was on fire. He was actually yelling at them. This is the Chef Ramsay I'm used to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah. Thank you, James.
I miss James.
Wait,
and his face.
Make sure when you chime in, James, that our viewers can hear you too. Did you have an option?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Because it sounds like we're just talking to imaginary.
The voices in our head. Yes.
We got yelled at.
So since Katie and David win, they get to each pick the teams. It's Katie and David, our team captains.
Mm-hmm.
Katie picks Sean and Dan, and David has Brandy and Tenoria. Good choices?
I think so. I knew David was not going to pick Sean.
Yeah.
They're competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like and I guess maybe he has it right that Sean doesn't want to be a follower. He wants to be his own leader. So if it's, two kings can't run around in the same kitchen.
Yeah, that team would have crashed and burned. Yeah. Possibly.
Yeah, just 2 alpha males.
Mm-hmm.
Just head to head.
So I think they were 2 great teams.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it seemed like it was interesting. And so we find out that Gordon has devised a menu of 1920s classic dishes. We have like pan-seared scallops with quail egg.
How was that 1920s though, with caviar? Like,
yeah. All right.
Like, that doesn't scream 1920s to me.
I don't know if any of this screams 1920s to me, but it sounded so good.
It screams elegance to me, but it doesn't scream 1920. I don't believe. I mean, I should have looked it up now, but like
we should have, but we were not there.
I don't think scallops were all the rage in 1920.
I would think the only one that may have been would have been Oysters Rockefeller.
That one I can see. My grandpa who died at 92, like, I mean, his whole life he had Oysters Rockefeller. So.
Really? Oh, interesting.
It was like one of his favorite things.
Did you ever make it for him?
I never made it, but there was actually my parents have a friend who's a chef at a local restaurant, and he would make them because, I mean, as you can see, they're like, we don't normally just go out and buy oysters. You know, that's not even something I buy on the regular in California.
Right.
And so in Michigan, you know, you don't really think like, oh, I'm gonna go buy some oysters. So yeah, we would get them for like, you know, special like events or whatever, like his birthday, but they're good.
Yeah.
They're really rich.
They look
They're really good.
I've never. Have you had them? I've never.
I had them for the first time in New Orleans. That was the first time I had it.
Were they really cheesy?
No, it wasn't that cheesy. It was just so good because before that, quiet as kept, I was eating oysters out of the can and knew nothing about that. I was eating oysters with hot sauce and freaking, what are those butter crackers?
Well, oysters and hot sauce are good, but I've never had oysters in a can.
No, that's red, Frank. The green box, they were they're rectangle crackers. And they taste like butter.
Crackers.
Club crack. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody's feeling what. But yeah, I was living like in the wrong life. And so when I went to New Orleans and had the oyster Rockefeller, I was like, what is this? Why did they do that to me? My mom did that to me.
Good stuff.
You started the sentence by quiet as a cat.
I said, quiet as kept.
Oh, quiet as kept. I'm sorry. I said quiet as a cat.
I may have said that wrong too, because apparently I say everything wrong around here.
I love it. It's just a cool expression to lead into this little secret.
So yeah, the Rockefellers are bomb.
So you're eating it like that, out of the can. All of a sudden, somebody puts oyster Rockefeller in front of you. What goes through your head as you first eat it?
I was mind blown. I started thinking the stuff I was eating before wasn't even oysters. I was like, what is that? What is that crap that I've been eating?
Oysters are so good. They're one of my favorite things ever.
I love fresh oysters on a half shell. Like, yeah, I'm a sucker for some oysters.
Now, for oysters Rockefeller, are breadcrumbs aren't, they're optional, right? Because some of them...
I would say breadcrumbs are a necessity.
A necessity, okay.
Because it's that crunch. But I've seen some made without hollandaise that are more like cheese, cheesy.
I didn't have the hollandaise.
Yeah.
When I tried it for the
But
first
I think
time.
the one we had wasn't hollandaise. It was sort of like a sauce, but it wasn't hollandaise.
Oh, so good.
And then the also thing that they cook is butter poached lobster, tagliatelle. Tagliatelle. Oh, I'm really good with these Italian words today. Nailing it.
Tartatine is French.
Damn it. Look at me.
Look,
anyway, guys,
leave
it's
it to
been
Maria
us.
to say.
Bye, everybody.
Leave it to Maria to be like, actually, you're still effing up.
You know what? One of our viewers is probably thinking it, so I got to say it.
No, you just got to call me out.
I know.
No, that's right. I'm terrible. I know it. And then they also have filet mignon, which nothing makes me less interested in eating your dish when you describe it as with mashed potatoes and root vegetables. Like, come on, root. That just sounds just like. Ugh.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, but it just sounds
They're rooted in the ground. They're called root vegetables.
But make it sound.
Well, what about if they said root veggies? Is that better?
Root veg.
You just don't like the root.
You don't like root.
I just think like it just makes it like we just yanked it just directly out of the ground and we just threw it on your plate. We didn't clean it.
Oh, I
it's
think
all
it sounds
dirty
like
and stuff.
rustic and.
That's what he means by not clean, rustic.
Yeah, I just like it. Just sounds
A little
just dirty.
dusty.
It's a little dusty. I got a little dusty on my plate. It doesn't sound that appetizing to me. But I do like Gordon's recipe for his mash, though. It's 60% potatoes and 40% butter. Oh,
Okay, can I tell you? I was just at a restaurant for my anniversary, and they said they do 50% butter and 50% potatoes.
And how were they?
They were heavenly.
Really?
Man, oh, that
I'm gonna
sounds
start
good.
asking now.
Hey, what's your-
I had some goat cheese mashed potatoes today,
Ooh.
and it was with this braised rib. It was so delicious.
Stop, that sounds
I should have
amazing.
freaking asked.
What's your ratio?
Yeah,
of,
like I'm like I
potato and
never
butter?
think to ask that, but I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna start asking that.
Yeah.
I think 60-40 is probably more realistic. The ones that I had were good, but they were I think it could have been more, like, it was just could have been too oily. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like if they sat even longer or something. But I think 60-40 is a really good ratio.
50-50, that just sounds just so...
I want me some butter, baby. Put me on
Oh,
the roll.
I do too. Like butter poached lobster, yeah.
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
Yeah, all
Sequester
those
me up
dishes-
with some butter poached lobster.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to go out, obviously. But all those dishes sounded amazing.
Yeah, and to make sure that they all get out and everything's kept to the highest standard of quality, because it's, of course, the MasterChef reputation. Who's going to expedite all these dishes? Gordon Ramsay.
Of course.
Which,
well, don't you guys think a lot of these were similar to what we see in Hell's Kitchen? Like the
scallops,
the tagliatelle,
yes,
the filet, the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially with when I saw the scallops dish, I felt like this is something I would just see them cooking on a regular night in the MasterChef kitchen,
Yeah.
or the
Right,
Hell's Kitchen. The one thing though is I felt like in this episode, do we really need Christine and Kevin? Because they pretty much just sat there and they watched Gordon demonstrate. They watched Gordon expedite. Kevin kind of walked around a little bit, asked a couple questions. Yeah, that was it. It was like basically Gordon's like, I don't need you to. Just go away. Let me do this whole thing.
He's like, bye, Felicia and Felipe.
Well, you know what? It was really amazing watching the execution, though, of everything that he made. It was another time of watching Gordon Ramsay just really be brilliant.
That didn't seem like there was enough time. You see them with their notebooks and their pens, and it sounds like he's going over each dish so quickly.
Well, have you guys ever watched one of his things on YouTube where he literally, his own cooking show where he teaches you how to make something?
Yes.
Because, yeah, exactly. So, and I've watched and tried to, replicate, and I'm rewinding that thing 12 times. What did he say?
I need the pause button.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something where you have the opportunity to rewind and to pause. For
They
them,
don't.
No, you could write all the notes you want, but man, how are you going to be able to look at all that stuff when you're trying to cook it in a competition setting?
Yeah.
So, I saw, God bless Katie. Writing down everything, just like.
But did it help? That's the real
No.
question.
And I do like when they get ready to start, Gordon yells out an order for the red team, and Dan answers. And he's like, "What are you doing, you dummy? Why are you answering for the red team, you idiot?"
Poor Dan. Oh.
He was a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like, and I could relate to Dan in this episode in the sense where, okay, you may feel like you're kind of a good cook, but then all of a sudden you're put in a high-end deluxe restaurant there and you're expected to cook at these standards.
The intensity is on a whole nother level.
Yeah, and you can tell for this challenge, he's felt like really out of his element.
And it would have helped, I feel like, if he maybe would have had better leadership, honestly.
True. Kitty wasn't the best choice for that. Maybe I think David could have gotten maybe more out of him.
And I feel like she was just being safe by just being the plater.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she was trying to go where she thought she excelled, which maybe wasn't the cooking. You know what I mean? So she was plating. So I don't know. It was sort of an interesting choice, I think.
Well, for Maria, for you who has such a background in cooking, if you were put into a situation like this, how do you feel you would do? Would you think would you find it overwhelming, or do you feel like you have enough talent that you could at least get through it and be okay?
Well, the thing is, I think it's all about what you're accustomed to. People who have worked in restaurants are used to that, hustle bustle. Whereas, I'm a home cook, and to be totally honest with you, sometimes when I'm in my kitchen trying to make dinner, I try to go super fast and think I'm in this competition. Could I do this faster? Could I do this? And I think I'm cool, and I'm just really not, because I'm yeah, pretty sure still 20 minutes till my husband's gonna come home and everything's ready. So, do I think I could do this? God, I think it would be going in blind tomorrow. No, because I don't have any experience in it, and I think it's just, I don't know. I don't think you know until you're in it.
It's high stress levels.
Yeah,
I could have easily been a Nathan passing out. I would probably just no, I'm out.
Just
I would have walked
sweat.
out. I would have just walked out. No.
Well, I don't know. I do a lot of yoga, so I really try to have my zen
And keep yourself centered.
But that I think that's really hard. I think because you're also working with other personalities, very strong personalities. Because to be real, this show, yes, you want to be a good cook, and they want the best cooks, but they want personalities on the show too. It's entertainment,
right?
So there's a lot of big personalities you're dealing with, and then everybody's fighting to win. So it's tough.
And you even see someone like Tenoria, who's been as cool as a cucumber this entire time, who gets very perturbed. And she's like, they're not communicating with me.
Well,
and
this was Hell's Kitchen.
Exactly. But she's like, wait, Brandy and David are just chummy. They got their stuff together. No one's talking to me. And you see her kind of lose her footing as far as her mentality goes, and her being calm and her being centered. You can see it got rattled a little bit.
She did get rattled, but she still was very
She's super
poised.
strong. Mm-hmm.
I guess
I was proud of her.
But you could see it. You could see it in her whole mannerism.
Yeah.
And in her face. She was just like...
Yeah, and I guess you could really see it for that, just how important communication is with the entire team. And if somebody does feel left out, That
That's
it can
not
just,
okay.
Yeah, it can put that whole team in a tailspin right there.
I just didn't like when David was like, "It's not time for hurt feelings," and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, David does not do a good job of giving that good old rally speech.
I mean, he did it after his OTF, his on the fly interview, but when he's talking smack by himself, he's not saying that in front of people.
What I did like about David, because there's a little struggle. Both teams had their struggles. I think the red team more so than the blue team. But then for David, it kind of clicked, and I thought it was a nice insight since he's a poker player to treat everything like he does with poker and just see everything in numbers. And once he kind of approached it that way, everything seemed to click into place with him. And I thought that was a really cool approach to this.
I think this is the best I've seen him lead. Actually,
I actually thought that was a really interesting way to understand him, maybe a little bit better. But I thought that because I don't think I would have ever really thought of it that way. But that was interesting.
right.
Yeah, interesting. Just the approach it, just because just hearing him calling out the numbers. We got a 5 and a 1 and a 1, and just like I feel like already he's just calling out just card numbers on it that as you see at the poker table. It was just a really cool way, and it seemed like they really pulled it out when he started thinking about it in that fashion.
He just had to get out of being butthurt. He was the one butthurt for the most part for the last few weeks. So
He's
I think
such
he got
a
his
baby.
footing. I
He is.
know. I think because he's just used to winning.
Well,
And as we get some glimpses from for next week's episode,
Maria, her
be
face.
better.
that little butthurtness is not going away from what we see. It's that little
Just
peak.
don't down someone else when they get in their feelings. Like you've always been poised and perfect.
Right.
What I liked about this, for 2 commercial breaks in a row for this, as they're cooking in there, that you can tell Gordon is not enjoying the whole experience because it goes to commercial 2 times with him putting his face in his hands and just going, "What is happening here?"
I was a little nervous for them.
Ugh.
It went by a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be because again, immediately when that happened, I went straight into Hell Kitchen mode, and normally that is stretched way longer.
Yeah.
So the bleeding is kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off quick as far as how they edited it.
Right. Yeah.
When it did end, I was like, "All right, we're done with the episode." And then I looked at it and it's like, "Oh, we still have another half hour left," because it did seem like this has been going on
It
for
was
a while.
intense.
I did like, though, that before they announced who the winner was going to be, or the supposed winner was going to be, they got all dressed up. Look at that. Gordon looking all swanky. Christine looking all dazzling there. They came out to announce. And then just such a lame piece. We're going to announce a winner tomorrow. Go away.
Yeah. That was dumb.
Why do we waste this time doing this?
Yeah.
Just like, for real, why?
Yes.
Why though? Why?
Just why do we have to do all this? It's just because Gordon wanted everybody to see how cool he looked in his little swanky tux.
True.
Come on, guys.
I wonder if they got to enjoy the party after that.
Probably
Or
not.
did they just go get back on the bus?
Oh,
and go?
you
I feel
know
like
they
they're
did.
getting back on the bus.
You know, Gordon got a chance to hang out. Gordon and your boy Kevin, he was just up there,
Yeah.
we a wet blanket on everybody.
You're so mean. You're so mean.
But now we come to the part that I'm really excited to talk about here. We get to the pressure test. We feel they decide that the blue team wins, and it seems like as you're watching the course of the episode, it looks like you would be surprised if the blue team hadn't won for this. So the red team is doing the pressure test. That means Katie, Sean, and Dan are going to compete. One of them is going to go home, and this is all about desserts. Oh, if only we had somebody to talk desserts with. To get an insight.
Possibly
I don't
be?
know. So we get each of the chefs has kind of a dessert specialty. It's all going to center around chocolate. And Kevin's got a white chocolate eclair.
Ooh, yes, honey.
Oh,
White
Christine's
chocolate, all that.
a milk chocolate cheesecake.
There's subtext in that.
Exactly.
And Gordon has a dark chocolate molten lava cake. And the idea is you're not just making one of these, you're making all 3 in 60 minutes.
That was so unfair when he said that. I was just like, wait, what?
I couldn't. I was literally in shock.
All right, so Maria, as somebody who's known for making her baked goods, and they are delicious, as you can test, you can check out Maria's blog. She's got all the recipes on there. She's working on a cookbook. Oh, I'm just plugging you, Maria.
From scratch
Thank
with Maria.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey.
Oh, and we had some of her pumpkins, her pumpkin biscotti. Oh, last week it was delicious. So good.
I actually made a pumpkin pound cake that is going on my
Wait.
website next week. So I'm
What?
sad I couldn't have brought it to you guys, but
Are you
So are we.
serious?
Yeah, we're sad too, Maria.
it was
we're
really
very
good.
sad.
Okay, so I'm just going to have to come over. How about that?
We're on our way.
That is fine.
So when this gets sprung in them, they're making all 3. How challenging is this in 60 minutes?
It's insane. It's insane. I'm shocked they did it. I'm shocked.
What just to give everybody like a better sense, what makes cooking all 3 of these in 60 minutes so crazy?
Well, you're baking, so it's baking times. It's not like when you cook, you're like, it's quick, it's on, the skillet, you're doing this, and you can kind of control it, whereas baking is you don't have control. It's in the oven for a certain amount of time. And once you do, like with cooking, for instance, like if you burn a piece, you can cut it off, or, you know, you can kind of work on things as you go. Whereas when you bake it, and if it doesn't rise, or if you don't have the temperature right, or if, like, there's so much, like, you put it in the oven and your hands are up, because there's like nothing you can do after that. So I think it's just so much, like, there's such a science, and if you don't have the pieces to the puzzle all right, it's gonna fail.
Well, and it certainly seems like, especially when you have to put something in the oven, like that point of no return, especially as they were kind of emphasizing about the molten lava cake, that it takes at least 12 to 15 minutes. So, you know, if you're not in that ballpark at all, like, I mean, Dan put his in with 9 minutes left to go.
It brought his oven up to 500 and some degrees. I'm like, you're just not, like, you're an idiot. You'll bake anything. Like, the highest you bake something is probably 425, and that's like maybe a pie crust, maybe.
All right, so I thought, like, with Dan, I mean, what else are you going to do in 9 minutes? You might as well turn it up as high as you can and hope for the best. Is that?
I mean, I guess that if you got nothing else to lose, you know,
gotta do what you gotta do.
Man.
All right, so for this challenge, you're given this challenge, Maria. How would you do this? What would be your approach? What would you get done first?
It's funny because I tried to think of that when they brought them all out, and I was sort of jaw dropped. I was like, I don't really know, because I'm trying to think of, like, should you do all three and then put them all in the oven? And you know what I mean? I was trying to figure out oven times, and if they had like multiple ovens they could use and things like that. So that's where I was trying to figure out. But Christina said I was actually thinking maybe the eclair first, so you could let it cool. But she said the cheesecake. And the thing about cheesecake is you find, like, not a lot of people make cheesecakes at home because they're a little bit more technical. You know, you put it in a water bath that helps prevent it cracking. It keeps the moisture in so it doesn't dry out. But it's like anything else it's like, I feel like with Dan's, because it was so, like, deep and thick, it's low and slow for, like, it's like 325 for, like, I mean, I think I baked mine at, God, it was at least a half hour, I think, and it's not even as thick. So, I mean, It could even take up to an hour depending on how big it is. So. And
it was interesting that, I mean, Dan did, like, seem like the cardinal sin when it comes to baking, is that you seem to make at least two of everything in case something goes wrong. And he just put one in, and he was all cocky about it too.
He said he felt very confident about it.
Yeah, because the turner is like, Dan, you're only putting one in. Like, one is the guy who got it. It's all good.
And then he's like, well, it better be good enough. And he's like, it better be good enough.
Right, exactly.
Now that I think about it.
And then we get as we're making the pastry dough for the eclairs.
It's called pâte à choux.
Pâte à choux. Let's talk about the moment we're talking about with Christine and her reactions when Dan goes to pour it in the piping sleeve there, and it's just basically he's pouring soup in there. And Christine's face.
He was milking a cow with that thing.
That's what Gordon Ramsay said. I died.
Christine's face was like, get over it. Come on. She's like, oh my God. Like, why are you reacting like this? Don't stop it. Stop it. That is way too over exaggerated for this.
I mean, it must have been really that bad, right? For him to,
she makes that face though, and I mean, she was doing that at the restaurant too. She was just like the whole time. I'm like, girlfriend.
It did not go. Yeah. So we see them just cooking.
Do it up for the TV, you guys.
Do you? But come on, like you don't. She
has to come back for the next season.
But you don't see Gordon like overacting.
It's his show. He doesn't have to do much. It's Gordon.
Yeah, but she's been on a few seasons. I feel like she should be secure in her job. They're not going to get rid of her. She doesn't need to ham it up like this.
Guys, what if that's really her personality? What if that's really her in real life? Like, what if? You don't even know. What if she really is just like that? You guys would hate her.
I forgot to get milk from the store.
Oh no, he forgot the milk.
Yeah. Honey, I left the light on at home. Oh no.
Oh my God.
What's happening?
Mean.
And what I thought was interesting, because plating and presentation is certainly a part of what makes a MasterChef.
Right.
It seems like they kind of view that. But at the end, I guess the chefs must know how hard this challenge is, because they tell them at the home cooks at the end, like, just even if it's still in the ramekins, whatever, just get it up to the pass. Just get it up here to the station. So they're bringing stuff up still in
the mold.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Well, at least I feel like the chefs were understanding of how hard it was. They weren't trying to expect them to do, the garnishes and all of that. That just would have been just ridiculous. In an hour, nobody can do that in an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and seeing certainly Dan's approach to this did not look very competent. I mean, he basically was just screwing up left and right, and I was wavering between him and Katie. I thought Sean was going to be able to make it through, so it really came down to me between Dan and Katie, which one was going to have the worst one.
Well, the thing is, I think Katie, like, can bake, though. That's what I was kind of, you know, she'd done the cookie prior to that, and I think she kind of knew how to bake, and I wasn't thinking, like, Sean knew how to bake, really. So, I mean, it was impressive, so...
Yeah, so they get down to the pass, and they go down and they try all of them. And it seems at least like Sean has the best cheesecake out of all of them. I mean, Katie's was just so tiny. More crust, more like cookie crust than actually cheesecake.
Like some type of patty.
Yeah. Didn't it seem like that? It looked like almost like a whoopie pie, sort of. Like you just went.
Right. Oh my gosh, throwback whoopie pie.
That's funny.
Dan has the best eclair. It seems to be because Sean's piped his when it was still too hot, so all the vanilla custard inside just kind of seemed to go nowhere, just kind of dissolved and dissipated. And then Katie didn't even glaze hers at all. She didn't get any chocolate in her eclair, so she just served up.
By the way, I have to say, ganache is one of the easiest things to make ever. Like ever. It is literally chocolate that you pour hot milk into, let it sit, and then you mix it.
So no excuses for you on that one.
No, I think if you're coming down the end and you have your eclair made, which by the way, eclairs are the same thing that you do see profiteroles. Like this pâte à choux you can use, and like it's like the basic pastry recipe that you learn in culinary school. Like anybody who's makes pastries knows how to make it. And actually they all did decent ones, but yeah, so like for her, I'm like, you have to have at least chocolate on there. Melt just white chocolate and put it on there.
Something.
Yeah.
You know what I would have enjoyed to watch for this particular elimination challenge is one of the chefs actually cooking this beside them.
No kidding.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Something that's so intense like this. Okay, let's see you do it with us.
Yeah, I would have seen Christina in there. Like, yeah, come on, get in here, lady. Let's see what you can do.
That would have been nice.
She'd be like this.
Stop.
You
can't
face.
see his face, Maria. Oh
I know. Well, I'm trying to. That's why I don't know if you guys. I keep like looking over to. I'm trying to. This side, whatever that is on your playback, but this side I'm looking at. I'm having my computer up, so I'm trying to. But it's a delayed, delayed reaction or whatever.
Next time I'll hold it.
No,
okay.
Stop.
Have to hold it for a while.
And when they get to the molten lava cake, we find out that Katie's didn't really get firmed up at all. Because it's still basically just liquidy when they turn it over. Sean's does well with his, and then Dan's his 9-minute cook. I do like they build up the suspense, and even then I was thinking, is he going to pull off some sort of miracle because he cooked it super high, and they built up the suspense of Hitler with the ramekin, and it basically just a big pile of soup.
Bless him.
Yeah. So it comes down to who are they going to save, and it felt like just because Katie did not put any chocolate on that eclair, she gets the boot.
By the way, I just saw your reaction.
Thank you. Was it worth the wait?
Your impression.
So I can understand why Katie got the boot. I mean, and she was never the strongest.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't. And to be honest, I really liked Katie, and she, especially through this episode as time went on, I really did like her because I think at the end of the day, she's trying to be a really good role model for her kids, and I loved that part of her that was just always fighting till the end, and I love that.
She was annoying me with the French fries the last couple of...
Well, just balancing that sense of like healthy fitness kind of food.
I feel like she was using that as an excuse to a certain extent.
But she did fight, I will say.
She did. But
because at the end of the challenge, she says, "I have hope. I still have hope. I'm still Katie." Like, well, okay, bye bye.
At the end of the day, I'm Katie.
Yeah.
Yes, honey, you are Katie.
You gotta be secure with who you are.
Exactly.
And they do kind of play mind game with her when they give her the cut, because there's like, all right, and going up with Katie. Yeah. You're going home, and you see that moment of like, I made it, and she starts making that walk towards the balcony.
You know better. You know better in this show.
That's not even right.
He played her.
But girl, you didn't have any chocolate on there. That was way too confident.
Now, what I love the difference between Nathan and Katie, Gordon takes a moment to hear what Katie thinks in terms of who she thinks has a chance of winning. Nathan, he didn't care about. I don't care about your opinion, Nathan.
I think he was just stressful for everyone too. I think he was just like, okay, go home and rest, honey. Go have a seat. Go have several seats. Breathe. Drink a bottle of water, and you'll be all right, kiddo. Like I think it was one of those things when Nathan was leaving. Like,
Yeah. So now we've got our top 5. So look at this. So as we start wrapping up, a couple of predictions about who now, seeing the playing field, who we think has a shot of being the MasterChef champion. So I guess we'll do a little predictions here. AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
James.
Prediction.
There you go. All right.
Ding dong.
I can't pull that up because she's on Skype.
Oh, I love
just
it.
kidding.
So then
We can do
did
our
it.
own.
AFTERBUZZ TV.
AFTERBUZZ TV prediction.
Ooh, I love it.
Yes,
All right.
that was sexy, James.
Maria Provenzano, who do you think has the shot of winning this thing?
Shot of winning, I still think Brandy is going to be a front runner, and Sean, I think that was my prediction the last time, kind of doing the Vegas versus the like down home kind of style. I really like Tenoria, but I feel like Brandy has sort of surpassed her.
In a really weird way, I agree.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I like Sean a little bit more now too, where he bothered me a lot in the beginning, and I think he's become more humble. Like when he cried in this, I legit was, I'm not kidding, I was tearing up when he said that. He's like, I've cried more in the show than I have in my whole life, and I like started tearing up. But yeah, so I see Brandy and I see Sean in the top, and I hate to say it, but I hope David goes home, because they showed the like thing of him getting really frustrated and taking his apron off and walking out, and I'm like, boy, bye.
Boy, bye.
Yeah. Rhavin, what do you think?
For some reason in my soul, I feel that it's gonna be a boys club thing. I think the top two are gonna be Sean and
David?
Yeah. And out of the girls, I obviously thought Tenoria was bomb.com, but I've been watching Brandy, and she's like the thoroughbred from behind. She's coming up.
No, I can't disagree. I thought it was going to be Tenoria and Sean. I said that last week, but I'm agreeing with you.
If it has to be two, I think it's going to be the two guys, but if I had to choose a chick, definitely I think Brandy is up there.
Yeah, I think
she's earned a lot of my respect.
I would agree. I'm leaning towards what Maria was saying. I think it's going to be Sean or Brandy.
And Tenoria maybe got a little too comfortable, because she was getting all the praise, in the beginning.
Yeah,
and
or it is over it. I feel like
either or.
Sometimes I wonder if people because this competition is so hard, they're just like, oh God, I'm just done.
Sometimes it sucks your soul.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Imagine the people working on the show. Okay?
Well, if you watch Gordon...
You only know that because you worked on shows,
right,
so you know how hard it is.
Honey.
If you saw Facebook Live, you would see that they seem to be a really fun crew. They get together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Gordon's trying to find a date for one of the
That's probably
the show
only the
chefs.
EPs. That's not the little people.
I think it was the little people. He had one of the guy crew members hanging out. Yeah, one of the crew was he was a big Tinder swiper, so they were hanging out. Gordon loved talking about that. Yes, it was great.
I'm gonna have to check them out live.
I feel like I'd see David the way that they cut this next week's previews. I could see David going home, but I think it's gonna be Dan next. I think we've kind of reached the limits of where Dan can get in this competition.
Yeah. That's who deserves to go home next.
Yeah. Whether that be or not, but what I'm excited about for at least the next 2 episodes, we're gonna have Richard Blais as one of the guest judges, one of my favorite chefs. So I'm excited to have him in the mix. That'd be too. And
Blais.
I'm sure he's gonna at least cook one of the demo cooks there for their. And he's used to Top Chef. He can nail any of that. So I'm not worried about how well he's gonna execute something underneath a kind of a pressure situation. So I'm excited.
He's not gonna be a wet blanket.
No, finally.
Okay.
Out of everybody, I'm most excited about Richard Blais judging this show this season. So I'm excited. Guys, you're going to see Happy Frank next week.
Oh, instead of Hateration Frank.
Hateration. Yeah. Hateration Nation.
Next week, I'll just bring you some haterade to calm you down next week.
So that's going to do it for this episode of MasterChef After Show. Look at this. We did it, Maria. You didn't think it was possible.
Yay.
Look at that. So, folks, you can like
And my baby didn't wake up.
Look at that. Perfect, everybody. If you want to wake Maria's baby up, you can tweet her. At Maria Provenzano. Send your favorite yelling birthday baby wake up chants to her. Yeah, she'll read them out loud to her baby. See if they wake them up.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. What am I thinking? I'm the worst.
He is.
But folks, you can like us on Facebook. You can give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Usually when Maria's here, she's got her computer up. We have the chat running, so you're able to chat with us, ask us questions about food and cooking. Maria's great about answering any of your questions. Hopefully, we'll all be back together in the studio next week. We'll be able to do that again because we love interacting with you fans. But if they want to continue the conversation with us even after the show's over, Rhavin, where can they find you?
You can find Rhavin with a V, McSweaney at B Stays Busy, Bizzy, and that's everywhere and anywhere.
And Maria, where can they find you?
I think she's
gone. Oh, Maria's gone. Oh,
at Maria Provenzano.
Yes, that's where you can find her. She's a delight. And you can follow me at Twitter at HappyGoJackie. And that was not facetious about it. It sounded like, she's a delight. That was very sincere from my heart, Maria. I love you. Please don't stop bringing goods into the studio. We'll see you next week here for the MasterChef After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.